Hey everybody, I'm Matt Stone. I'm so excited to be here with you today on the ETA Files.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this week on ETA Files. Special guest, the one and only Matt Stone. Excited to have you. Thank you for joining
Yeah,
me.
man, it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time.
So I got to tell you and the folks listening, I don't have too much of of a social life. I have two different podcasts, including this one, and I work at Legends in Concert. I have a lot of kiddies. This is my favorite one right here, joining us. But I don't get a lot of time to do anything like research or look into other guys for this show because I'm
Yeah,
so busy researching for the Ryan Files. I know a lot of guys. I've heard of you,
there's a
but
lot of research to be done for the Ryan Files too, so
absolutely.
there's lots to dig into.
But I was watching the other day. I was actually, I think, editing a video, and I was on YouTube, and I look up, and there's this video, and you were in it, and it was about the hardest song Elvis ever sang, or highest note he
Oh
ever
yeah,
sang, or whatever.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's got 50 some thousand views and whatnot.
Really, it's doing that well.
Yeah,
I
I think
haven't
it was
I haven't thought about that video in
52,000.
a while. Wow, good.
And I was like, well, this is cool. The guy's got a channel. And I started looking into you, and I was like, this guy is different. This guy is cut from a different cloth than most of the people that you see on this particular program. So I wanted to have you on. I invited you on. You responded right
Heck, man.
away.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, how often does that invite come in? I'm excited to be here.
well, I'm just excited to get to know you because there's something different about you. So, if you don't mind, break down a little bit about just who you are, what you do, what you're all about.
All right. Well, in case you didn't see the title of the video, my name is Matt Stone. I'm from South Florida. Really, what I am about is just trying to recreate Elvis as closely as humanly possible. Not only from the perspective of kind of having an all-inclusive Elvis show of, this is kind of a good representation of Elvis overall as an entertainer, but to really zoom in and put a magnifying glass onto certain periods of his career and to recreate those periods as closely as possible, not just myself, but also the rest of the production as much as I can with jumpsuits, jewelry, set lists, jokes, microphones, mic stands, drum sets, guitars, amps, you name it. We try to get, as close as we can within a reasonable budget.
Yeah, well, that's and that can
And
take up a lot
that's where it gets it. Right.
when you start getting into the instrumentation and the microphones and all that. It's
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
serious.
It adds
Um,
up quick.
you're 21, soon to be 22 years old as the time that we're recording this. How did you get started with Elvis?
Well, I got started. I actually just did a video on this, breaking it down because I get asked that question a lot, as I'm sure all ETAs do. I got started because of a show called Full House. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it, and it's actually a story that I've heard other ETAs say is how they first found Elvis. A lot of the younger guys. John Stamos' character, Uncle Jesse, played a big Elvis fan on the show. He moonlighted as an Elvis impersonator in an episode. He sang Jailhouse Rock as his wedding song. He had Elvis posters in his room. He was constantly making, Elvis jokes throughout the entire show. And one day, after watching that show for years, I just decided that I was going to look up, who Elvis was, like what's all this about. I saw John Stamos sing Jailhouse Rock. I looked up the real version. Sorry, John, Elvis did it a lot better. But I was just blown away. And then once I saw, probably almost a year later, when I saw Suspicious Minds, I thought that, like, when I saw a clip from That's the Way It Is, I just thought this is the coolest darn thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I bought an album called Live in Las Vegas. It was a compilation album that came out like '03, '04, so like when I was born. And it had one of the '69 shows, it had one of the '70 shows, and then just kind of a compilation of other stuff that was done in Las Vegas. And there was just something about that time period, all that energy that Elvis had on stage that was just so absolutely enticing. And I knew right away that this is what I want to do.
All right. That's interesting. I forget exactly what it was. Something with the smoke and fog. I had Rick Sacedo on month or so ago, and Rick Sacedo is one of the OGs in this
Oh
business. He
yeah,
was
he is. Yeah.
72 on Broadway he was performing as Elvis. Elvis
Wow.
was still alive.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But he said something about he had some sort of input on John Stamos's like the trilogy with the spoken stuff.
Yeah,
They
it's funny. Pete Wilcox says the same thing
okay,
that apparently they were calling like all of the ETAs and impersonators of the time and getting their input on what John should be doing for the show. Like Pete Wilcox told me that John called him because he was like kind of the guy at the point for
right?
TV. He was on all those TV shows, and that he sent him a I think it was a VHS tape of That's the Way It Is, and that's how John learned how to somewhat do the moves for the episode.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Huh. So all your life musically and
Yeah, I've been
talented,
playing
inclined.
guitar. I've been playing guitar since I got my first guitar when I was like 5 years old, but it was more of just a toy at that point. I really got into it when I was about nine, and I just loved it. I was a huge Led Zeppelin fan. I mean, I still am, but I loved Led Zeppelin and just that period of 70s rock. But I don't know. There's just something about Elvis that's different. There's with Led Zeppelin, it's more so the music and kind of like a celestial psychedelic experience, I suppose, with the concert. Where with Elvis, like all the focus is on him, and it's not he could do by himself what four people had to do with other groups, and all of that energy just came off of him on stage instead of it having to be a bunch of talented individuals in one particular area. He had it all.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. What made you? Was there one specific thing? I know that the comparison to John Stamos on Full House is definitely something, but like, was there, and is there still today, an essence of je ne sais quoi, a quality that you particularly latch onto when it comes to Elvis?
Oh man, it's so hard to I would have to say just being free on stage is my favorite thing about Elvis is that nothing was scripted, nothing was planned. So like I said, I try to put a magnifying glass onto certain parts of his career, but at the same time, I don't want it to be completely planned where every single, joke is written out for me. I kind of just want to have an overall idea. Okay, this is August, September 1970, right? These are jokes that he was saying kind of at the time, but they just have to come naturally. There's never a full script involved, and I try to really keep that freedom. And so I'm never going out there and saying I am recreating opening night 1970. Like that's never the case. It should be kind of an overall experience of like take any night where there's no footage or no audio, and this could be the show that night.
That's a great point, man. There's something different about you, isn't there?
Thank you, man.
You're,
I
you're,
hope so.
you're
I mean, how many Elvises are there in the world? 80,000 or something like that?
if I had to guess, I would probably guess you're pretty intelligent, aren't you?
No, not at all. Not in the slightest. I just love Elvis, and I love to get into it. And I love to research it, just like you do with the Ryan Files. Like, I just love to dig into that minutia, and I always have. To every little thing where I will spend like hours looking to try to figure out what a specific ring is. And am I ever going to find that ring? Maybe not, but hey, at least I have a pretty good idea of what it is.
What about is there anything else in your life that you have that kind of passion for?
Uh, Not necessarily. I mean, my wife,
Right.
um, my son, my family. Um, I have passion obviously in those categories, but really, Elvis is what I really love more than anything else. I mean, I really love coffee. I love making coffee. That's another fun thing about me. I'll make different kinds of coffee all day long. Coffee art, so to speak. I like fashion to some extent, but nothing nearly in comparison.
All right. All right. Trying to get my mind wrapped around you, and I can't. Let me ask you a couple questions. So you perform, like I said, you're a young buck, man. You married and a son.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My son's almost 2 years old.
God bless, man. I had
Thank you.
I had my son when I was probably around your age. Yeah, and he's like
Yeah, I beat being a teen dad by 8 days, but I was married, so it was
yeah. I had my son when I was pretty young, and he'll be 31 in November. Kind of crazy. Yeah, 10 years older than 10 years older than you right now. Oh, I feel old. Um, so think about this now. You are performing as Elvis. You love what you do.
Mhm.
You're knowledgeable. I mean, the deep dive for you is not work. And whenever
Right. I
you,
just love it,
yeah,
which is
when you
great.
find that thing in life, hold on to it because you'll never
Hmm.
work a day in your life. And I think
Right.
you've obviously grasped that. What How do you see, I guess the bottom line would be, Matt, how do you see your future developing doing this? I don't see you
Hmm.
necessarily out there, um, maybe in the Elvis world, that thing,
Right.
that's involved with the contests and the ultimate
Right.
and all these things. I see you
Right.
in the Elvis world. I know, you do stuff with Elvis Presley Enterprises, all that. But you're just a little
Yeah, I mean, I was
different.
in the Ultimate in 2022, and I was not ready to be in the Ultimate in 2022. I was 18 years old, 19? Yeah, I was 19 years old, and I had just turned 19, and I was nowhere near ready. I cringe at those videos today. Somehow, miraculously, I was top 10. So I mean, that gives you some kind of cachet where, look, my name is on the website. Like, I am recognized by Graceland internationally, as is anybody who's ever placed in the contest before. But really, where I've kind of paved my way, there are only there's only one other guy that I could think of that's kind of done similar, and that's Cody Deoneth, with doing all the production and the all that side of things, where you're going out and like risking it all and building a large scale production business where you're the self promoter of the show. And that's kind of how I've paved my way. Is I learned all the business side of things. I've got my spreadsheets. I go up there and I just bet on myself, and not only bet on myself but also bet on Elvis. And I'd say Elvis is a pretty safe bet as well. Um, so that's kind of how I've paved my way in the industry, because believe it or not, most Elvis fans, Elvis had a whole lot of a bigger fan base than just what's within the Elvis world, just the people who might go to, name this Elvis festival. His fan base was a lot larger than that. So, just getting the people who know and love Elvis, and they might not be the biggest ETA fans in the world. They might not, be buying the ETA calendars, even though they should, because it benefits a good cause. But those people are out there, and it was just a method of reaching them. And if when I look at my, top fans on Facebook or whatever else, it's not the same names that you see with a lot of other guys. I've found a way to, I think, reach other Elvis fans, which is also, I think, a lot of like what Legends in Concert has done. And you, Ryan, like the people that you perform for every day are big Elvis fans, right? But they're not like the festival goers, so to speak, and they're not necessarily the following to every contest type, because Elvis's fan base was so huge. And I think for a lot of guys, they just kind of ignore the rest and they just kind of focus on the people who go to contests. And I think that's a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and I've said this many times, my favorite career choice, um, early on was performing with legends in concert,
Yeah.
because you don't have this, when you go and do an event in the Elvis world where,
Hmm.
Elvis festival and you get the same Elvis people there, um, you're going to win because it's a baked in win. You know what I mean?
Right.
I love legends because there might be people that come that like Elvis,
Or they might
people
like the Blues Brothers, right?
or that don't like Elvis,
Hmm.
but they're at the show. That's the best.
Hmm.
And that is,
And maybe you could win them over is even better.
yeah,
Like I get people all the time where it's, they're buying tickets for their mom and they're going with their mom and they leave an Elvis fan, and that's great.
or they say, my wife drug me here. I didn't like this show, but I'll tell you what, I had a good time. That's a big deal, man. That's a big
Hmm.
deal. And yeah, because I don't want to be given something. I want to earn it, right?
Right, exactly. And I don't want to knock the contest too hard, because they do serve their place. And like winning the ultimate, it definitely means something for sure. But I do think that there's a lot more to building yourself as an entertainer and as a good representative of Elvis than just solely winning the ultimate, because there are people who have won the ultimate who go on to have the biggest careers in the world, and then there are others who haven't necessarily had the biggest careers in the world. And it's really just a matter of looking at, okay, what business moves did they make at this point to reach people who aren't just the ones who care that they won Graceland's contest.
Right.
And so many of them have been incredibly successful at it, and some of them haven't necessarily been as successful. And they're just remember, everybody, if there's any young ETAs watching, like there is a bigger world out there than just the Elvis festivals. And also learning how to perform for people who aren't necessarily the largest Elvis fans in the world, and learning how to make them have a good time, because you can't just go up there and sing, you know, Money Honey, and that's the only song that you know how to sing and expect to reach a million people, because it's not going to happen. It's just like if the only song that you know how to sing is Hurt, and you do that every single contest, if you're going to be booked at a show, you can't sing Hurt for 90 minutes. You got to have a really solid, large set and be able to refine and polish a much larger scale show than just one or two songs you're going to sing in a contest.
Absolutely, for sure. And it sounds like you got your head on straight when it comes to the business side of things. Not a lot of guys do.
That's true. And I mean, like you look at guys like Sam Cooke in the 60s, like he learned the whole business side of things, and he was one of the first artists to really dive into that side. And you look at Elvis, for example, like his career was managed extremely well in some areas, and it was mismanaged extremely poorly in other areas. And he didn't really have any idea what was going on, because he just kind of left it to Colonel or Tom Diskin or his dad, and he just, at the end, he wants to leave the Colonel in 1973 and find somebody else. And everybody tells him, well, you're broke and you owe everybody money. And he's like, how in the world did that happen? You know? In 1976, they were close to foreclosing on Graceland, and they thought they were going to lose the house because he was just spending money hand over fist, and he just didn't understand, how am I making millions of dollars and it's just gone? Where's all this money going? So it's always been very important to me to understand not only the entertaining side but also the promotion side of the business, because if there's ever a day where I can't do this anymore, maybe I get some kind of vocal nodule and I can't sing anymore, or whatever, I can take all those skills that I've learned and apply it to other artists, whether it be Elvis or whether it be Justin Bieber. There's always a place for, you know, a manager or a promoter.
There you go. I like that. You are different. You are different. um, so the business side,
Mhm.
is right now, I'm assuming it's just Matt Stone and your productions, correct? Or
It
are
is.
there,
I mean, I do have people who buy the show, of course,
right?
which is honestly something that I would like to have happen more often. I've got right now, I'm building a really solid list of agents who are starting to buy the show, and a lot of people who are interested. Just the other day, I was on the phone with the manager of one of the top Beatles tribute shows in the world, like one of the big ones, and he was, you know, very happy with what he was seeing on my website and EPK and all that kind of thing. So I'm trying to build up that business side of things where I have a lot of contacts and relations, where hopefully one day I don't necessarily have to put my neck on the line for to, you know, go out and promote these venues myself. Because I mean, right now, if I had to throw out a ballpark figure, like I've got tens of thousands of dollars just sitting in deposits for shows that are a year from now, a year and a half from now, and that can be scary as heck sometimes.
Absolutely.
But hey, I mean, it's how I've been able to pave my way and get in rather quickly, and to have a somewhat successful career rather young, when a lot of other people my age are still kind of waiting to build up the resume for themselves. I just went ahead and built the resume early, and decided that no, I can do it right now.
Yeah.
So
The physical responsibility is so important, like how you handle and manage your money in
mhm,
entertainment as an entertainer. And man,
absolutely.
I hear horror stories. You hear horror stories
Hmm.
like national acts. Obviously,
Oh yeah.
you just named one with Elvis, at 76. But then I've seen it so many times with maybe guys working with Legends in Concert or other entertainers, where
Hmm.
being able to manage your money, be smart with it, um, be ready for that rainy day.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, look at COVID. I mean,
Yeah.
how many guys were struggling
Yeah.
to to pick up anything that they possibly could. And COVID, I mean, honestly, COVID was a turning point for me because I was only I was almost 17, and it just gave me the time to just dig in more and research more. And I want to say that I came out of COVID a much bigger fan than when I went in.
Oh, that's cool. That's interesting. Man, COVID, something else. Something
Yeah.
else. The impact it positive and negative it's had on a number of people. Something else. But
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
um
You've seen a lot of people's careers explode right out of COVID because there was such a boom of coming back to entertainment and people wanting to get out, which is nice. But at the same time, I talk to promoters all the time and they're like, yeah, we're still 50% down from
yeah,
pre-COVID.
yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting. Having the ability to take this on yourself um makes you, and I don't say this negatively at all, makes you a little bit of the puppet master. Um,
Hmm.
where you're smart enough to understand, hey, listen, if I can get a casino or I get an agent that's going to, put me on tour for, 25 dates and I'm making good money, that's great. But I also have the ability to create myself a product that
Right.
I want, promote and produce shows. I have the ability to maintain relationships. I have the financial responsibility to be sitting on deposits for a year out
Hmm.
and not be wasting that money. I and I would imagine you probably have things paid in advance, even in your own personal life and bills and stuff like that, where you're
Hmm.
just like, yeah, I'll take care of it. And because as an entertainer, it can be feast or famine. It really can. And
Yeah,
COVID
it,
was
it
a
can be.
perfect example of that.
It was a proof of it. Yeah.
So you having this kind of quality of skill and talent and knowledge at 21, almost 22, that does make you different.
Well, thank you. I mean, I guess I've just always been interested in it. I mean, and I grew up. My parents were not rich by any means. They were middle class. I mean, my mom now is an assistant principal, but she was a teacher, and my dad is a police officer. So I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth at all. But I did grow up in. I want to say that I am in a more advantaged area when it comes to just kind of understanding money around me because I mean I grew up in Palm Beach County, so I mean like there was money around. We weren't necessarily, you know, we weren't living on the island,
Right.
but we were, kind of around it. So I did grow up with certain people around me that, um, you get to see a lot of nice cars and big houses that, they give you dreams and they want you to get there. And I mean, for me, I haven't sat back and taken that payday yet because I'm still putting money towards the next theaters. So all the money that comes in, all of a sudden, I send that out because I have to keep working somehow. It needs to go to the next show.
Yep.
So I just keep sending it out, and what's left over, I spend on microphones and amps and guitars and everything else because I do have a vision of what I want my show to look like. I don't want to just have my rotation of jumpsuits and then call it a day. Like I'm done. I've done my part with what I'm buying.
Yep. And
Um,
there that will come to a point too where um next thing you know, you have enough, you've bought all the stuff that you need for the
mhm.
production. You've
Hopefully that's the case real soon. I'm
yeah,
getting there.
yeah. Um what is your production? I mean, you talk about a 90-minute show, whatever it is. Do you go through all the eras being as young as you are? Do you stick solely to
I just
70s?
stick solely to one thing. So I will very once in a blue moon I might do a costume change, but it's very rare. It's usually if somebody buys a show and asks for one.
Yeah.
But if I'm putting it on, then it is 90 minutes straight through of 1970. Every once in a while, 1971. Might be a different period of 1970. It might be the winter engagement that nobody really talks much about because it wasn't filmed for that's the way it is. Um, it I just pick one thing and I go for it. And one of the main things, like you asked about how I envision this growing, and I talked a little bit about it from a business sense, but what I didn't talk about is how I envision the show growing as a whole. Ryan, I'm sure you're familiar with Martin Fontaine
Oh
and
yeah. I
what he
was going to
did.
ask you
So
about this. Yeah.
exact. So Martin, he doesn't do his show a ton because he's not footing the bill for it. Somebody else is. Somebody else is purchasing his show, but he's got a huge production. and he only does it with that huge production. So he only does it a handful of times a year because there's not many people who are willing to foot the bill for it.
Right.
So my goal is to get my production to the level. And Martin did a great job with the costuming, or all the band. That is a level I would love to get to. As far as gear, he got the staples, right? He got the black bass, the pink paisley, the blue drum set, Fender Bassman sitting in the corner. But for me, I want it to be even deeper than that, in the sense that I want every little thing to be correct. Like, and that's the way it is when Elvis played the Gretsch Country Gent on a handful of songs he did. I Was the One and all that. I was trying to figure out what amp did he play through. I looked for years trying to figure it out, and I finally figured it out. There was one for sale in the entire world. I just bought it a month ago. And it's only the head. It's not even the cab of the amp. I still haven't found that yet, but I've got the headstock for it. So I'm trying to dig into every little thing I can. I only played that guitar one time in that entire engagement, but that amp was there the whole time, so I needed the amp.
That's interesting, man. I like the level of detail that you go into. Something like Martin Fontaine's Elvis story was massively successful, had a massively successful run. And obviously he was doing that show weekly.
When I talk about Martin, I'm thinking of his show Elvis Experience that he does with not Elvis Story. I mean, Elvis Story was great, but when I talk about like the production value of the costuming with all the band and everything, I'm thinking Elvis Experience.
So you definitely want to just like narrow this thing down into a 70, 71 era. And,
exactly. Right.
And that's it. Just nail all
and just call it a day. I think that there is a market for it, and it's not necessarily the show that I think that there has become a staple status quo of Elvis show that kind of got started with guys like Rick Saucedo and Pete Wilcox in, the 80s. And it's just kind of been slowly whittled down and improved and improved and improved to create a show like what we see today, like Dean's show, for example. Like Dean's The Ultimate Elvis show is incredible, but it's kind of it's a whittled down version of a status quo Elvis show that came from the 80s. You start in the pink jacket, then you go to movies, then you go to 68 leather, and then you go to Jumpsuit. And I never necessarily wanted, not that there's anything wrong with it, it's an incredible show, but I never necessarily wanted to be like the progressive chronological Elvis show. I think that kind of takes audiences out of I'm sitting in Las Vegas watching Elvis. I think it's more of a representation of Elvis as a whole, which I didn't necessarily want to do.
I like that. And I'm sure that you probably have the people out there who are just like, man, dude, you're young. Like, come on, you're
just do the 50s stuff.
Yeah. And I know guys that think that way. But your passion lies somewhere else.
Exactly. And I do think in a lot of ways, it's just, there are things you can do with makeup. There are things you can do with sideburns and, well-fitting jumpsuits, padding, that kind of thing. I try to pad my jumpsuits as much as I possibly can up top to be a bit wider, up here. And, speaking of Dean, I should just probably get his workout regimen right now because it'd make life a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And, man, Dean's at the right age. You're at the age. That's the thing, man. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I was jacked. You get older and arthritis and all that stuff. But man, I told Dean a long time ago, I was like, man, and you feel better. Man. You feel better too. Yeah. You feel good. You look good. Yeah. Something special, man. Yeah, not a bad idea, especially as being a young buck like you are. And when I say young buck, man, I mean that with the utmost of praise because
I know.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure.
What about your band? You got a band?
Yeah. I have some staple guys, and then I have other guys who are more so calls. And I think my next step for my band is to get them all into costume, probably against their will, to look like, Ronnie Tutt or Jerry Schiff or James Burton. I've talked to a couple of them about it, and some of them are good with it. Some of them are a little bit more hesitant, but we'll nudge them in the right direction. Are they maybe a little bit of extra?
Yeah. Are they contemporary to your age? Older?
They're really a mix. They're not my age. I mean, I do have one piano player who's close to my age, but I only use him once in a blue moon because he's so incredibly talented. He's booked all the time, Chris Patty. But yeah, my bass player and a guitar player as well. He flips back and forth depending on who's available. He played with Jan and Dean. He was an honorary member of the Wrecking Crew. Like when the Wrecking Crew did all of their stuff later on, he was like the fill-in guy for the Wrecking Crew, which is incredible. He actually replaced Jerry Schiff in a band one time. He's got an album at home where under bass it says Jerry Schiff, Sean Bryant, because Jerry left the band and he came in and replaced him on half the tracks.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, my guitar player played for Ronnie McDowell for a very long time, and so he got to play with DJ Fontana and the Jordanaires, Millie Kirkham,
Yeah.
all of them. And my drummer is a wonderful guy. Robert Reynolds is his name, and he also plays for Jay Dupuis and Brandon Bennett and One Night in Memphis. So I've got a whole lot of very talented guys that I know and love, and backing singers. Or I've got a lot of different ones that I use depending on the gig and how many tickets are sold as well. How many are going to be up there?
Yeah, man.
Um, Horns are same deal. Like, if the sales are good enough, we're gonna have, the horns and strings and all that kind of thing. It's just a matter of how much appetite is there in this market to have a larger show. But the goal is to eventually cut out all the smaller shows and don't do the 4 piece or 5 piece or whatever, and only do the larger scale ones. Hopefully, when I've built up a brand large enough that that's the only thing that's necessary.
That is the point, right? But you got to build
Hmm.
that brand. And I mean,
Exactly.
someone though with your intelligence, your drive, um, I can see, and again, you're cut from a different cloth. I can just see you finding a way to make this work. And it'd be really, I mean, you get into the orchestration stuff and all of that, man.
Hmm.
And it's obviously
It's
expensive,
expensive. It's expensive,
but
especially with arrangements. I just used some arrangements recently that, oh my gosh, they were a nightmare. These orchestrations were not correct. We got started and I was like, oh no.
yeah.
We were
Do
playing
you,
Kentucky Rain and it was, oh my gosh, it was awful.
yeah. Do you play other instruments besides guitar, piano?
I do. I started playing drums when I was probably 10 or 11, so I can somewhat carry that instrument, but not Ronnie Tutt by any means. Piano I can play a little bit because of I learned the notes from playing guitar, so I could kind of fiddle around at probably about the same level of whatever piano player Elvis was.
Yeah.
So, just kind of knowing the chords and being able to play them. Bass I can play because I play guitar, so they're kind of cut from the same cloth.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I've always thought I had a vision. It kind of got changed. You know how your environment will change you.
Hmm.
Um, and it kind of got changed. But when I moved to Nashville, it was probably 2008, I guess, 7, 8. Um, I wanted to start a band, and I wanted that band to be, because up until that point, I'd only worked with bands that were all older guys and whatnot.
Hmm.
I moved to Nashville, and I got all these young bucks out of oh gosh, what's the name of the school there in Nashville? Music school. Anyways, music school in Nashville, Tennessee. I got all these guys and had this amazing 4 piece band. They were all young in their 20s. And dude, they were hungry.
Hmm.
Belmont
Yeah.
University is the name of the
Hmm.
school.
You look at like the Infinity Band, they're mostly, young guys out of
Yep.
Nashville and they're fantastic. And
Yep.
yeah, I will say that a lot of the older guys, they have a lot of experience and everything to know the material. And but every once in a while, we get some young guy in and they don't want to be ageist, but
Yeah. Yeah.
they can certainly play and it does add a nice touch to the show to have more young guys up there. It just kind of makes everything look a little bit more polished as far as my relation to what the band looks like.
That's the point. That's the point exactly, Matthew. Because like Matt, think about that. You can go to any Elvis festival and watch this guy performing. Okay.
Hmm.
Say it's a 50s guy and say he's singing Heartbreak Hotel. But you always have, generally speaking, and I'm not saying this to be mean or rude to anyone, but you always have this, the 4 piece, whatever, 5 piece, 2 singer band up there. all older.
Mhm.
What happened to, like go up there with you, Bill and Scotty, and
Yeah.
just play the song like they played it.
Yeah. You got
That's
the
a
horns blaring on Hound Dog.
yeah. Or just perfect example, let's say you're doing some whatever recreation of something similar to That's the Way It Is. And
Mhm.
you're out there doing your thing. Well, what if Ronnie Tutt in the background has the long hair and the beard? And what if,
Mhm.
Charlie
Yeah,
Hodge is right
absolutely.
there
I've
about
used
your
Michael Moore several times before, and he's got the hair and the beard and all that. He does the whole Ronnie Tutt
yeah.
impression, which is
So,
cool.
or yeah, you just, your Charlie Hodge is
Hmm.
contemporary to
Yeah,
your age, or
yeah. And
that's
hopefully about 4 feet tall to make the height difference right.
there you go. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Uh,
5'8". Like I can't have some Charlie up here.
dude,
Ryan, you couldn't be Charlie next to me. I'm sorry, man.
yeah. Yeah. Dude, I can't, I look like such a dude. Be thankful of your height. Let me just say that.
Oh
Um,
man, I envy you though. Let me tell you.
six, like almost 6'5", shrinking in my old age, 6'4", and all your life, every picture, group picture, you're the head that's
Mhm.
sticking above everyone. It's not the best thing. And it's funny too. I met Tom Cruise out in L.A.
Mhm.
Acting school. He came and talked to the graduation out there, and dude, tiny.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, what is he? 5'6", 5'7"?
yeah, I'd say 5'6", probably. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
5'7", but the bottom line is,
Hmm.
I don't think Tom Cruise is worried about how tall he is.
I don't
Okay,
think so either. Yeah.
yeah, he's
I've
awesome.
always thought, the most of the famous actors we see today were probably theater kids who couldn't play sports and got bullied for it in high school, so they went into theater and now they're actors.
Yeah, hey, but yeah, so 5'8", no big deal. And Elvis, people say 6 foot. He was 5'8", I think, right? I know 5'8",
Yeah. He
5'10",
was
5'10".
like, yeah, 5'10", wearing boots and
Yeah,
lifts.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I watched some videos of it. You're built similarly to the way Elvis was built. Elvis wasn't, like,
Like, man, yeah, I'm lanky in that way where I think I did the math one time where if you were to put Elvis into a scale model based on his height to my height, we'd be pretty darn similar if I were 5'10" at the same,
yeah,
ratio of sizes.
yeah, yeah. So there you go. And listen, there's nothing wrong, like Dean, or even when I was doing it, get a little buff, get the broad
Hmm.
shoulders going on, the jumpsuit, nice
Hmm.
tan, all that stuff. It's
Especially
great.
works good for like 72, 73. It's perfect.
Yeah. So, but the bottom line is, there's some very real similarities between you and Elvis, not just body type, but the way, with all the makeup and everything, you have a really strong resemblance on stage.
I don't know if I'm identical, but you know what I mean.
I look
But
just like that guy in that movie.
you did, man. I don't know. Blake, what's his name? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Blake Rain. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but you do have a really strong look, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you. It's a lot of makeup and just playing around with it to try to get that stuff. A lot of it from what I learned, I think going back to Martin Fontaine, a
Yeah.
lot of guys have kind of tried to copy Martin's makeup routine for how Martin made himself look like Elvis. But unless you're Martin Fontaine, changing your face, if you're not Martin Fontaine, you can't change your face to look like Elvis the same way he does. He has different features, so you can't just copy the same cheekbones that he did to lift or raise or anything else because he has a different face. So for me, I found, the typical Elvis makeup is you raise your cheekbones, right? You do all this highlighted and then you low light that and the nose contour and all that. For me, my face isn't as long as Elvis. So by doing the cheekbones here, all it did was make my face look more round. So for me, you look at Elvis in like 69, 70, he had those like, I want to call them like sinus lines, like
Yeah.
right here. It
Yeah.
kind of cut his face when he had like really little face fat. So I lean more into that because for one, it's era appropriate, but also those lines are making my face look longer.
All right.
So if I look at a side by side of myself doing the regular cheekbones that are, nice and plump up here, or doing those sinus lines, it's night and day difference because all of a sudden my face looks long.
Yeah, that's cool. Interesting. There's a gentleman in town that I'm friends with. He performs as Michael Jackson. His name is Michael Knight. You might have heard of him, but
I have.
he is something else, man, when it comes to this, like contouring makeup and whatnot. And
Yeah.
he does it not just
It's
for
an art.
himself. Yeah.
It's incredible.
And like Martin, he does it not just Martin was, he knew how to do Martin.
Right.
Michael knows how to do multiple characters, and he's even done stuff for me. And it's just like I will never, and I freely admit, ladies and gentlemen out there, admission time. If I had to take 2 hours to get ready and makeup and whatnot, and I could probably look almost exactly like Elvis, I don't know that I would have ever been in this business. I'm just being honest. Okay.
hmm
Um, I don't care about how I look that much to, you know what I mean?
Well, you
it's,
are blessed to have very similar features already, so it certainly works for you. If I went out without any makeup on, it'd be like, who's this 12-year-old on stage?
well, and maybe that's it. But the bottom line is like Michael spends a lot of time on it.
hmm
And what he did, even showing me, I'm like, I'm not going to spend that time. But
hmm
you know what?
Yeah.
I looked more like Elvis. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing that all the stuff that you can do. And,
There are
and
some incredible things you can do, yeah.
and it's funny, man. Some of these guys just have incredible looks.
hmm
All the tricks are being employed. You've got the
Yeah.
shrink wrap, and you've got the wigs and the
Oh, yeah.
sideburns and the makeup and
Yeah,
the
you look at Jay
lifts.
Dupree's makeup routine up close. Oh my gosh, does he do a good job? It's
Yeah,
incredible. Yeah,
yeah.
he does an incredible job.
And the beautiful thing about Jay is Jay gets to, at the end of the night, get out of the costume, put on a hat, and no one's bugging him at
Nobody knows
Walmart.
who he is.
Yeah, no one.
That was another thing. Like, I never wanted to be the guy who is in Walmart and somebody's like, "Hey, Elvis, like, how
Oh,
you
I hate
doing?"
it.
You
I
know,
hate it.
it's awful. I can't do it. So, um, like you doing like the more 50, 68 sideburns is way more incognito than like the big 70s sideburns. Like you'd never be able to leave the house with
Yeah,
those sideburns without somebody looking at you like, what the heck is going on here?
yeah. It's just
So
sideburns,
it's
man.
one of the yeah, it's one of the main reasons why like I used to fake sideburns and like and I've tried to see how far I can grow them, but they grow in a different shape than Elvis. Like I can grow a pretty solid sideburn. It doesn't grow out here though, the way that his did to get that like really sharp line. So, the fake ones work.
Yeah. I would have to that's the thing about my particular sideburns. If I would like grow a beard for a month, just say, um, at this point, not only would it be gray, but it would be thick enough to have that all the way out there.
hmm
But because I'm performing nightly, six
hmm
nights a
You
week,
can't get that,
you can't just
transition
let it
period.
grow, you know,
Yeah.
you have to, yeah. So I don't usually have that, but
I've seen this one picture of Elvis in I think 1969 where you can kind of it's like the only picture I've ever seen of him in this way where he's like kind of in a transition period, which is really odd. He doesn't have, a show for 7 months and all of a sudden you see like he's got his 68 sideburn and then he's just got it a little bit lighter right down here like he just shaved his Charo beard and it's
yeah,
starting to come in.
that's interesting. That's cool. What do you think? And Matt, I'm just going to ask you this. So much weight is put on this thing called the ultimate.
hmm
Um, you've been to the ultimate.
hmm
You said you weren't ready for it in 2022. You are also a businessman who wants to find success, and I believe that
hmm
you have all the talent to do that.
Thank you.
Do you feel that at some point the success requires an ultimate, or
I
success
don't think
doesn't
so.
require it at all?
I don't think that it requires it at all, just simply because, like to me, one of the greatest Elvis shows in the world is Chris Connor's show, for example, in the UK. And is he an ultimate? Does he even try to be an ultimate? No. And he's just content building a show. And the one advantage of the ultimate to me is not the cash prize because you're going to spend at least half of that going to contests trying to win to get to the ultimate.
Right.
Um, it's just being able to put that thing on your website that Graceland called you the best.
All right.
But I also think at the same time that as the Ultimate continues, okay, now we started when 2007.
Yeah.
We've had almost 20 ultimates. Every time they add another ultimate, I feel like it's eventually going to dilute the meaning of it. I think it meant the most when Sean won. And every year, it's the more ultimates that they are, eventually you're going to see all kinds of ultimates everywhere. And there's going to be 30, 40 guys saying, hey, Grayson called me the best. But then they're going to say, okay, well, we got 10 other emails today of other people saying that Grayson called them the best.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think, I don't think that I was ready when in 2022 at all.
Right.
Nowhere near ready. My suits didn't fit. My sideburns were a funky shape. I didn't know how to do makeup. I was wearing the wrong rings. My vocals were all over the place. I was moving like a chicken with his head cut off. Like I watch those videos and I'm ashamed of my performance. Please don't go look them up, everybody. But I think that if I were to go in today, I'd have a better shot for sure. Do I know 100% that I would win? No, and I don't want to do it for that reason.
Yeah.
Because going to all that work to come in second or third, um, I mean, it's an incredible honor, but I would rather just be Dean Z and go in one time
Yeah.
and call it like that's it. Like I've done it, and I want to wait till I'm at the point where I can be 100% sure. Will that day ever come? Maybe not. Is there ever going to be a day where I think that, I could just go in and win it? Maybe everybody else has already won. That's a competitor.
Yeah.
But and that could be the case. But I I'm not sure that I would, and that might sound bad to say, like, I'm not sure that I could win, so why even try? But I think that there's a lot that goes into it. You got to give up guaranteed paid dates to go. And also, when I'm out there marketing and saying, this is this and this and this show, like, this is great, everybody should come see this show. If they look me up and they see, oh, look, he came in, fifth place, it's like, we should go see the other four guys.
Right. I think that there comes a moment in time where you got to understand, number one, Elvis wasn't out there doing contests.
For sure.
Okay. Elvis Presley was not. He was an entertainer. I
hmm
have never been in a contest and done my best performance ever,
Oh, me either.
ever. And
I've never done it either.
yeah, and it's just like, I think there's, and listen, I know some guys that don't know that many songs, but they're really good at like these 5 or 6 songs, and they will
Yep.
go and smoke most people in a contest. They
Yep.
got it down, man. And I
hmm
love it. But to me, that's not what I want to do. I want to be an entertainer, and so I think that you're
Right. When
right.
was the last time you were in the Ultimate? Was how many years ago was that?
It was right before COVID. And it was only because no, it was the year after COVID because
They
they can't.
invited you, wasn't that it?
Yeah, it was inviting me.
Because I was there and I saw it. I remember. You sang Fever, didn't you?
I don't know what I did, dude.
Yeah.
I
I don't
just
know how I remember that. I think you're the only person I remember in that whole contest.
just miserable, like though, hating the fact that I'm in a like I
Me
can't
too.
I can't be me.
hmm
I can't feel the way I want to feel on stage because
hmm
I'm too worried about
hmm
having to perform a certain way.
hmm And there are also guys who psych themselves out in contests
Sure.
and I think I very well might be one of them because I haven't done a contest in years.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of guys, they get so in their head that all of a sudden the charisma dies, and that's the most important part of Elvis
Right.
because you're so worried about the contest.
And then you're thinking, well, am I allowed to have that much charisma?
Oh, yeah. No.
It's like the Elvis never one time said, man, I got to watch my charisma tonight.
Yeah,
It's
let's
just like, and
dial it down a little bit.
yeah, and it's just like it's anti Elvis. So yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm in a different situation. But I do believe you're absolutely right. I know that there was talk at some point about having an ultimate of ultimates. That's
I think
never
that's
going
a
to happen.
great idea,
That's
but it'll
never
never
going to
happen.
happen.
Never, because not one of those guys who has won and has been called the best will ever want to compete again and lose to fill in the blank.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, no, there's only one winner. And yeah, there's only
hmm
one winner, but you gotta, and I hate to say this, probably doesn't work in today's society, but if you're not the, I'm not trying to repeat whatever the movie was with Ricky Bobby, but if you ain't first, you're last. It's like that's kind of the
Yeah.
reality and perception, whether or not we like to admit it. Just like you said, they look online, oh, this guy placed fifth. Let's go look for the guy that won, you know?
Yeah.
So if you're not first, you're last, especially in business. And when you're trying to run your own business, come up with your own strategy for your own show, your own production, your own
And for a
vision.
lot of these guys, the contests are their whole being,
Right.
where that's all they care about. So to them, it doesn't really necessarily matter that they came in third or fourth or 10th because, hey, I was in the ultimate and that's the highest honor there is. But I mean, to me, the highest honor there is playing a 1,000-seat sold out room and having 1,000 people in that moment think you're Elvis, not just one of 20 different Elvises.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a whole different level of, performance high than being in a contest. I think the only thing that would compare to that is winning, and guess what? Only 1 in 20 does. And by that point, I mean, it's tough to do. And I mean, you can listen to horror stories from people all day long saying, "Oh, it's political. Oh, it's rigged." I don't necessarily think that it's rigged. I really don't. And I'm getting into dangerous territory now. But I do think that it'd be foolish for anybody to think that a judge doesn't have their favorite.
Sure.
I don't think that the festival goer, for maybe sometimes they do. I don't know, because I've heard people, I've heard firsthand accounts of it happening, but I don't necessarily think that the festival runner is going in and saying, "Oh, okay, this guy's going to win this year." But you can't tell me that those four judges who have seen this same guy compete since he was, 16, and now he's been doing it for 10 years, and now he's like a grandson to them. You can't tell me that they're not favoring this guy as opposed to somebody who might just be brand new and might just be the best. Like
Sure.
I seriously wonder if somebody like Chris Connor were to go into the Ultimate today, where he would place, because he's brand new and nobody really, like, everybody, people know who he is obviously because of his show, but he's not like the familiar face of the Ultimate.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love going down these thought experiments of would Elvis Presley 1956 win the ultimate if he went on stage and sang "Love Me Tender"? I don't know that he would. I don't know.
No way. No way. He'd be up there doing this. I'd
Yeah.
be like, what's he doing with his eyes? What's going on with his hands?
Yeah.
If he got up there and, like, you take that whole Tupelo homecoming show, if he performed like that, people would be, yeah, he wouldn't even make the top 10 because it's not necessarily what they're looking for, even though it's the best entertainer ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know that everyone really knows Elvis.
They don't.
People think they know Elvis.
Especially when it comes to the judges at the Ultimate, a lot of them aren't necessarily Elvis fans.
Yeah.
They're like, I run a music charity in Memphis, and that
Yeah.
makes me qualified to judge who's the best Elvis in the world.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think a lot of other festivals, if you get somebody who's seen Elvis 20 times, which some of these festivals do, then that's great. Like, that person is a great judge. But it also, it depends, when did you see him? If you
Right.
saw Elvis 20 times in 1976, I don't think you're going to necessarily judge my show very accurately.
Or a guy in the 50s.
Or a 50s guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
no way.
So
Impossible.
yeah, the subjectivity of it all is rather large when you step back, but that is the nature of a competition. Or you watch the Olympics, ice skating, it's all based upon judges scores. But I think that it's even easier in that realm because you don't have multiple eras. You don't have this
Right.
this baseline of 20 years of performance,
Mhm.
to consider. There's a lot of different things. So I would never want to be a judge. I don't enjoy being judged in a contest, and
Mhm.
I don't think I have done anything positive for the life, legacy, and career of Elvis Presley being on a contest stage. I just
Never.
don't, man.
But every single night you're up there in Legends, you're doing something very positive for his legacy.
Or just
Because,
entertaining, or even doing this and elevating the guys who
yeah,
are far better at it than me, or just have different stories or whatnot. This to me, being able to do this, being able to talk to someone like you, is a bigger win than probably winning the ultimate, to be honest with you, especially at my age.
Well, thank you, man. That's very sweet of you to say. And I mean, it's definitely an honor to be here. I mean, when I was getting started on this, like I looked up to all of, the greats, of which I would consider you a member of the class, um, as far as ETAs go. And just to be here and to now have young ETAs look up to me is just it's full circle. It really is incredible.
Yeah. 10 years from now, where do you see yourself?
Hopefully with Sweet Inspirations and Kathy Westmoreland and Imperials, and a guy dressed as Joe Gershow and a bunch of musicians wearing brown suede vests in the back playing the trombone, and a guy with a beard playing the tambourine and the glockenspiel.
All right. All right. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I got a fun Jerry Schiff story for you real quick.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Because you mentioned him earlier, playing the Foxwoods. I forget the Hartford, Connecticut, I think is our airport we flew into, but it's a drive, like an hour drive. And we were in a van driving to the Foxwoods and sitting right beside Jerry. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of young and whatnot, but he's going to be playing the show. And I'm like,
That's
well,
incredible.
I'm going to strike up a conversation with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I was like, hi, Jerry, I'm Ryan Pelton. How you doing? Nothing. Just sits there and he's sitting here like this, just looking forward. I'm like, what is wrong? What? I'm like, I really didn't know what to do. I was like, oh my God. I think like 10 minutes later, I kind of made a joke and I said, huh? Nothing. He's just sitting there looking forward. Come to find out, he almost was deaf in that ear. He couldn't hear me.
Oh, well, if you look at how close he would stand to Ronnie Tutt's crash cymbal
Oh
on
gosh,
stage,
yes.
there's no wonder. My bass player, every time I tell him, scoot in a little bit more, scoot in a little more, he's like, the cymbal is right there.
It's right there.
Look at Jerry, it's right here.
Yeah.
The whole night.
And man, like later on, we resolved the whole situation and it was funny. And he laughed about it. He goes, man, I'm sorry. He goes, I can't really hear really well out of that side. And that's the side I was on. So it was kind of a funny story, but yeah, we had a great time, great show, great people, man. I've never met anyone that worked with Elvis that I didn't kind of fall in love with. It was just kind of a really cool thing, which makes you think that Elvis himself probably had to be a pretty top quality dude,
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, there's too many stories to confirm to even doubt it for a second. Everybody has their human moments, everybody has their human flaws, but overall, you look at Elvis as a whole, and I think you can say this is a pretty solid individual.
Yeah, for sure, man. Matt, I know you've got, I like you. I'm just telling you that. I don't, and I don't,
you too.
It's not that I don't like people. I like everyone that comes on, but there's something about you that's special. I like you. Tell people how they can get a hold of you as far as social media goes, where they can look you up, see your video telling everyone what the hardest song Elvis sang was, all that
Which
stuff.
was It Feels So Right, by the way, that note right on the end. How can it be wrong? That B is the highest note he ever hit on record. Yeah. So now you don't even have to watch the video. Don't add any views. Watch this one again.
It's a good video. Watch it. But seriously, how do people reach out to you?
But on Facebook, it's Matt Stone as Elvis. On Instagram, it's Real Matt Stone. My website is Matt Stone as Elvis. TikTok is Matt Stone as Elvis. And the show is Matt Stone as Elvis in person, which is how they billed Elvis's show in 1969, 1970, before they changed it to Elvis Now. It was Elvis in person, so that's the name of the show.
All right. Very good. I would tell all the guys that are out there competing to watch out. I don't know that that's your path, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But if it is, go do it, man. Go crush it. I really like.
We'll see, man.
I like your aspect. I like the way you're tackling this stuff, and I think your wife has an incredible reading knowledge. I love the books that she reads. So, anyways, all right,
yeah.
Man. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining me. People are going to love this.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Matt Stone.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in this week to the ETA Files. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And as always, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join the ETA Files community. And if you're looking for something a little different, be sure to stop by my podcast, The Ryan Files. Keep rocking, my friends, and I'll see you next week with another story from the Elvis tribute artist world. In the meantime, check out these video links below.